So somebody requested I make a video showing all of the basic chords in one video, and so now I have time to do that. I'm doing that. I'm going to start at the beginning of the alphabet with A. So A major, let me adjust my camera here. A major, I tend to just use this bit of my finger here and I bar straight across the second fret of the D, G, and B strings like this. And I leave the A string down here open. So that's my A major right there. You could also just put these three fingers right next to each other to do the A major like that. That works as well. I prefer doing this little bar thing because then I could add my pinky on the fourth fret of the A string to add a C sharp if I want a first inversion A major chord. Alright, so those are my A majors. A major 7, remember how I had these three fingers next to each other? Well, what I do is I take my middle finger, I put it over on the second fret of the B string. This one here I put on the first fret of the G string. So I do second fret of the D string with my ring finger, first fret of the G string with my index finger, second fret of the B string with my middle finger. There's my A major 7. And to make that into an A7, it's easy. I just lift up my index finger and then I have an open G string. So I've got second fret of D string, second fret of B string. So there are songs that go and then they would go to a D. Anyway, so that's an A major to have that open G, or an A7 to have that open G like that. Another A7 you could do is to just bar it like I was doing, and then I take my ring finger and I fret the third fret of your highest E string. So there's my A, and then I can add that right there, and that's that. Okay, so that's my A majors. A minors. Second fret of D string, second fret of G string, first fret of B string. There's your A minor. Okay, to make it A minor 7, you just lift up your middle finger to have an open G string, or you can put your pinky there on that third fret of the E string if you want to do an A minor 7 that way. Or you could do both. You could kind of lift up that finger and add that pinky. There's an A minor 7. Alright, so that takes care of your A's. B's. Okay, so B, just regular B major, is kind of hard to do open. You could do it as obviously as a B bar chord. I prefer to do it just as a B power chord, so second fret of the A string, fourth fret of the D string, fourth fret of the G string, and then I leave this B string open. I mute with my thumb here and I don't play the bottom string. So that's just pure B and F sharp. But you can take your middle finger here and fret the fourth fret of your B string as well if you want to add a third to the chord. So now it's B major if you do it like that. So it's really just like that A major we were doing there, but you slid that up and then you added your finger down here on the second fret of the A string. So those are a couple of different ways of doing just a B power chord or B major. B minor, you can do that same B power chord you just had, but you put your middle finger on the third fret of your B string instead of on the fourth fret, and you still mute this with your finger there. Or you do a B minor 7, which would be middle finger, second fret of the A string, index finger, second fret of the G string, thumb, second fret of the E string. So those are a couple of ways of doing B, B major, B minor 7, B minor, and then there's the popular B7, which would be, let's see, ring finger, second fret of your A string, index finger, first fret of your D string, a middle finger, second fret of your G string, then you leave the B open, and then thumb, second fret of this E string. Which goes nicely to an E, so that's your B7. Alright, so next, C's. So, have your ring finger, 3rd fret of the A string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D string, index finger, 1st fret of the B string. That's a C chord, but I find it easier if I put my thumb on that 3rd fret of the lower E string. So I still have those same positions, but it's just an easier way to hold my hand. So that's your basic C major. C minor is pretty hard to play as an open chord. I play it as what I call a cheat chord, so I do a C power chord. 3rd fret of your A string, 5th fret of your D and 5th fret of your G, and then I do 4th fret of the B string, and then I mute that. So remember, you just had a B minor down here like this. C minor is the same thing. So if you had a commonly goes from C to C minor to G. So anyways, your C minor is like that. All right, so that was C, C minor. Okay, oh, I forgot C major 7. That one's easy. You just do 3rd fret of your A string, 2nd fret of your D. And you could add your pinky there. So that's your C minor. And your C7 is, I do pinky, 3rd fret of the E string, ring finger, 3rd fret of the A string, index, 2nd fret of the D string, and then I bar across these with my, and that actually adds, that's a C7 with a 9 in there as well. Anyway, so that's your C, C minor, C major 7, and C7. On to D. So, D major, middle finger, 2nd fret of the G string, ring finger, 3rd fret of the B string, index finger, 1st fret of the E string. And then you put them all next to each other on the 2nd fret for a D major 7, or you could bar it. And then for your D7, it's just like that A major 7 position, but you move it up a string here. So you have your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. And lots of songs do that same thing. D, D major 7, D7. D minor is very similar, except that your index finger is going to be on the 1st fret instead of the 2nd fret. So that would be middle finger, 2nd fret of the G string, ring finger, 3rd fret of the B string, and index finger, 1st fret of the E string. So that's your D. That's your D minor. To make it a D minor 7, you just bar across the 1st fret of the B and the E strings with that index finger part there. So you have your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and that's your, and that goes nicely to a G. So that's your D, D major 7, D7. All right, on to E. So your E major chord is pinky or ring finger, 2nd fret of the A string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D string, index finger, 1st fret of the G string. To make that an E major 7, it's kind of like how we had our D minor 7, same thing, where you have you're barring the 1st fret with your index finger. So you've got your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and your index finger barring the 1st fret of the D and the G. So it's, so you could descend like that if you want. And then E7, you just have your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, index finger on the 1st fret of the G string, and an open D. So there's your E7. You could also put your pinky here on the 3rd fret of the D string to get that 7th, if you want, for an E7. E minor is just these two fingers here on these two frets. That would be ring finger, 2nd fret of the A string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D string. And if you want to make it an E minor 7, you either lift up your finger that was on the D string and then you just have 2nd fret of the A string, or you can again add your pinky to the 3rd fret of the B string for an E minor 7. You could also add a G to the top if you want. Alright, so those are your E chords. F chords are tricky when you're playing upside down because you can't really there's no real open F chord. You can play like a semi-barred one, or you can add your pinky in there. That's usually what I'll do, is I make it kind of like I had with that C major position. So I have pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. I have the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and with my index finger I bar the 1st fret of the B string and the E string. So it's like this. That's my F. And if I want to just remove it from that E string, that's my F major 7. If I want to do an F minor, I go back to barring that, and then I lift up my middle finger here. So actually my index finger is barring these 3 frets here. So your index finger will bar the 1st fret of the G string, 1st fret of the B string, 1st fret of the E string. So that was your F major to F minor. I just make sure that that finger is pressing down on those 3 strings now. And that goes nicely to a C. So there's your F, and then just bar those 3 for your F minor. So those are the easiest ways to do F major 7, and F minor chords. F sharp chords I commonly do because they are in the keys of E major and A major and D major. You can kind of, remember how I had that F minor there barred? Well, then I can just move that up a fret. There's my F sharp minor. But more commonly, I will leave that E string open, and I will just bar the 2nd fret of the G and the B strings with my index finger. And then I'll have my pinky here, 4th fret of the A string, ring finger, 4th fret of the D string, and then I'll bar these 2. And then I'll leave that E open. So that would be an F sharp minor 7. So there's your F sharp minor 7. Speaking of sharps, I forgot to do any C sharp chords, but we had that C sharp, that C minor here. If you want to do C sharp minor, just do that C minor position up again. But you can also do a C sharp minor by doing C sharp minor 7 by pinky, 4th fret of the A string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the D string, and index finger, 1st fret of the G. That's your C sharp minor 7. So if you're playing in the key of A, so anyways, that C sharp minor 7 could come in handy like that. So it's just a triad with an open B string there. Okay, where was I? I was on to the G's now. Okay, so G major would be ring finger, 3rd fret of the E string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the A string. And then I usually use my thumb on the 3rd fret of the E string, and sometimes I bar it over to the 3rd fret of the B string. So, or I can just do that 1 string up there. Or you can do it with your middle finger, and it's kind of whatever's more comfortable for you. But it's important to know that if you're going to do a G minor that's open, that you have to bar this 3rd fret of the B string while you lower this down to the 1st fret of the A string. So to do G minor, so that's G, B flat, D, G, D, G. Anyway, so that's a G minor. You can also do like a G power chord and then add a major 3rd and then kind of do that, or a G bar chord, but lots of ways of playing a G, but that's kind of the main one. The main open way of playing a G is just, so ring finger 3rd fret of the E string, middle finger 2nd fret of the A string, and then you fret the top here, 3rd fret of the E string with your thumb, or both the E and the B string up here. So there's your G major. To make it G minor, you just fret the 1st fret of the A string with your index there. So I totally finished that, and then I realized I forgot to do a G major 7 and G7. But anyway, so we had those fingers there for G, and that was our basic G major. But if you just move your thumb down here to the 2nd fret of the E string, then it becomes a G major 7. And if you want a G7, you just move your thumb down here to the 1st fret of the E string. And it naturally goes to a C. So that's your G, G major 7, G7. Now you can do that with your index finger as well. So you could do G, G major 7, G7 like that. It's whatever's most comfortable for you. But anyways, that's the rest of the G's. So that's it. That's basically all of your basic chords that are kind of lower down on the neck. Of course, you know, we talked about, there's tons of bar chords you could do, you know, first and second inversions and regular root position ones. What am I even talking about? There's even some kind of weird ones you could do, like this one, which would be like a D minor 7 with it's like a D minor with a major 7. Or down here would be the A minor version of that, A minor with a major 7. And you could do some augmented or diminished chords, but those are basically the chords that'll get you through 90+% of the songs that you probably want to play. So thank you for your patience and bearing with me. Hopefully you found this helpful.